Alright, today I want to go over 8 of the free things you get with FreePBX. I want to touch on inbound routes, outbound routes, extensions, system recordings, announcements, IVR, time conditions, and the system admin. All the free versions of the tools that you can get with FreePBX. This is not going to be an exploratory demonstration of the system by any means. That's not what I'm going for. I just want to show you what you can get for free and talk about what you can do with it and what we have done. So initially, after you install FreePBX, this is the screen you get, your initial setup screen. It requires you to put in your username and password for the system that you're creating. This is separate from the account you create when you initially build the system. So we're just going to go with admin, a really strong password. And an email address. We'll tell it create the account. Don't save. So now we're going to do the initial login using the information that we just put into the system. And of course I can't type. Try that again. Alrighty, and here's where you come next. It tells you, thanks for installing the system. Would you like to activate the system now? If you do activate and you create an account over at the Sangoma portal, you do get a free version of the, can't think of it, but you get a free version of the system administration tools for the system. It's not their full one that of course you have to pay for, but it is a free version. And we use it all the time. It gives you some nice tools and some basic things that you need. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this system. And you will have to put in your email address that you used at the Sangoma portal and your password. I'm going to do this and then I'll be right back. This is what you're going to get next. You can sign up for their free cloud-based FreePBX if you wanted to, but since you're building an on-premise system, I'm taking that's not what you want to do. We're going to skip that. They do cell phones, as you can see. Skip that. You can use pretty much any phone with the system, which is one of the things that we like about it. We particularly use Yealink phones. We found they're easy to configure. A lot of the coding that's required to make custom configurations is right there. With the phone, you just hover over it and it gives you the access that you need with the codes that you need. So we're going to go ahead and say, yeah, that's fine. The smart firewall is nice. We won't go through this right now, but if you do set this up, it does protect you from a lot of SIP attacks, SIP style attacks for your phone system. So I definitely recommend that you do go through and configure this. We're not going to touch on this today. Maybe if you guys would like, comment down below and request that we go through that, and we can definitely do that. Continue. Abort. Okay. So they also have SIP trunking. We have used them. It can use any SIP provider for the most part. The one issue that we have run into with the system is if your SIP provider does not provide a inbound string, which we'll jump into that right now. So if we were to say add inbound routes, or actually it's under trunks initially. So we'll say add a trunk. We're going to add a standard CHAN SIP trunk. The PJ SIP is a different version of SIP, but we've had much more luck using just CHAN SIP. And then if we go into the SIP settings, you can see the inbound register string. If your provider does give you that, we've had almost no problems getting those to come up. Calls inbound, no problems. Calls out based on your outbound string, again, no problem. Once you have these configured, you can actually, we'll just set up a dummy. So we'll go test out 1. And yes, as it brings up, you should set an outbound caller ID. We will set trunk name, test, SIP, test SIP provider. We'll do the same thing here just so it has it. We'll go test pro out. Yes, that's fine. It'll recycle there, and then we can apply this configuration. Now, if we go into outbound routes, we can actually add an outbound route. So we'll say primary out, and then we tell it what trunk we want it to use. So if you have multiple providers, you can use multiple trunks out, however you deem, based on whatever dialing pattern you configure for it. So for this, we'll just do the basic 7-digit US emergency. Tells it to generate the routes. It automatically fills in all the routes for us. So that part's all done. We can say submit, apply. So now, if we did actually have a provider connected to this system, you would be able to get out using this current configuration. Now, as far as your inbound routes, these are a little bit more simple. So you can add a description, whatever you want, like, let's say catch-all. So basically, any number that calls in, what do you want to do with it? So right now, we don't have anything set. So we'll just say, let's send it. I use this a lot, SipStation DID verification. Even if you're not using SipStation, you can use this to catch any other number that comes in, and basically it just repeats out what number it's seeing coming in. So you know if you're calling it from your cell phone to test the system, you know the number that you called, and you know that your system is able to take the call because it's responding back to you. So we touched on the inbound and the outbound routes. Like I said, just really quick going over some of the basic things. We'll also go in and let's look at the applications. So we're going to go to extensions. Let's apply this so it goes away and leaves us alone. All right, so we're going in and now we're looking at the extensions. The extensions, again, really nice and easy interface. I really do like this. So this is a PJ SIP extension. By default, it runs on 5060, which is something we found actually causes a problem. So what we do, we'll turn around and we'll use the asterisk SIP settings to go in and configure. We'll just jump in here real quick. So we'll go in and we have to change the configuration on this so that the CHAN SIP is actually on port 5060. So we normally will just bump this out to anything over. So like if you say 5260, and then you'll submit, you come over to your PJ SIP, you can switch this to 5360 if you want. Then once that's done and applied, you can come back in a CHAN SIP and tell it, put this on 5060, submit. And then once that's done, you should be able to run standard SIP on port 5060, which is what most of them default to. All right, so let's go back over to extensions. So we're going to add an extension and then do a CHAN SIP extension. So then, again, it's interesting that it does this, but if you do what we just talked about, this issue will go away and this won't pop up. But what you can do for the user extension, you select any extension that you want. We normally recommend that you start at least in the 200 series, or that way you don't have any problems. You can get down in the 100s, but it makes it a lot easier for you to carve out different blocks when you're not there. Because one of the default blocks that you get with the system, if you look at so let's look at parking. Your parking default starts at 70, goes up to 78. So again, I like to stay out of the 100 range and at least start at the 2. If you want to go in the thousands, you could easily do that as well. So again, we go back over to extensions. We're going to add a chance of extension. So extension, let's just say 200. The display name is whatever name you like for it to be. One of the things I do like in this version is it actually shows you that this extension is valid, it's green, there's no problems with it. Let's see if we do 70, see it tells you no, there's an issue. So we say 70 extension number already in use, part plus part called default lot. So it warns you if you're stepping on another extension. We'll just go back to 200. So then the display name is whatever name you want to name the extension or the person. Some people just do extensions for names. So when you call, if you set this to test, this is what people will see when you call out and they pick up on another extension. They're going to see that name. The secret, this is what you would take and put into your SIP configuration for your whatever SIP device you're going to use, whether it be a test mobile phone or whatever not. And then this we normally just leave default. If you want to get advanced, you can start creating users on the system. And you do have a small user portal that you get for free, but it's not that advanced. You get full voicemail features with the system. You can set it to enabled, basically, and give it a password for the users. You can go through all the requirements. You can send out to email addresses directly from the system. You do a lot of times have to create rules on your system to allow it in. Sometimes it considers it spoofing just because it's coming from a generic name, but you can go in and modify that if you like. Pagers we don't really use. Let's look at voicemail locator. You can set up these services to basically track you down. It's almost like the follow me part. So if you turn this on, you can tell it, basically a special voicemail instruction. So when you're busy, you can leave instructions and you can give it the options that you want on this extension, which is kind of nice. Now to the actual follow me part, I know it's kind of double there, but we find people that, like I said, use this voicemail locator as kind of a follow me, just because they can put in different options in different places they want things to go based on the options that they give. But the actual follow me for the extension, you can configure in a huge list, if you wanted to, of different places you want the system to try and get to you within the allotted ring time. And you can set ring strategies. You can have a special announcement, music on hold. It's different from the standard. There's call configurations. Do you want it to confirm the call? Basically, if it doesn't know who the call is, it will actually prompt that person that's calling you to leave a name. Then it will try and reach out to you and it'll play that back to you. Advanced lets you get into all different kinds of things. Your DID descriptions, inbound DIDs. You can use different DTMF signaling. This is, like it says, the advanced configuration portion. There's a lot of stuff that you can get in here if you needed to get very detailed on how your extensions are configured and the options that they have. All right, so let's go in and look at one of the other things. So under admin, I say right now, since this system is activated under my account, you see this is what you get with that. You get access basically to this area. You get intrusion detection, network settings, the host name configuration. With the paid version, you get some email options that allow you to tweak how email works, and you can point it directly at your system. If you want to do that, you can do it with the free version, just not via the GUI. You have to go in and do that and actually change the configuration files on the system itself. This is what allows you in the power section to shut down the system or reboot it, set up HTTPS, the time zone, storage options, all that kind of good stuff. So another thing that gets heavily used for us is system recordings. So the system does support you adding a name, you can give it a description, and you can tell it what extension you want it to call, and when you call it, you'll pick up. You can make your recording right there. Say what you need to say, submit it here. You can tell it to convert it into the different formats if needed for you. And then once that's done, you can tie that into an announcement. So you'd be able to pick that recording here. Currently we don't have any, but you'd be able to pick that, say what you want it to do. You can have that bounce back to an IVR if that's part of your call path. Let's go in and look at, let's do the time conditions. So time conditions allows you basically to set your how you want your calls to flow, basically. So once you build a time group, so let's just say we wanted to say, so time to start, so we're going to start at 8 o'clock, and then let's say we're going to finish at 1700, and we're going to do that Monday through Friday. So this will give you the basic 8 to 5 schedule. We'll just leave that for now. So now you have a time group. So we could say open. And you can put in override pins and configure this to basically allow you to hit a feature code that will be whatever this code is and flip the state of this time condition. So let's say for some reason you want it to be able to have a user that can open the doors or open the phone system up to calls earlier than your default 8 o'clock. You would set the override pin, program their phone to enter that pin, and when it does, the system will actually let you know and say, feature code, whatever you picked, and then that will set the destination to either work or not work. So if we said, based on that time condition, we want calls to be routed to, let's say, an extension that we create. So if you wanted extension 200, you could configure extension 200. And then that would be where calls will flow. And if the destination doesn't match, what do you want to do? So again, you could come in and say, well, if that call doesn't work, then what we might want to do is send it to another extension if that's what you want it to do. Or what we can do, let's actually go over here, because if we'll just fully create extension 200 just so we have something to, we're going to call it test, and we're going to turn the voicemail on. We're going to hold on. So we're going to set the voicemail password. We'll make it real secure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Submit. And apply. All right, so now if we go back and we look at our time condition, and we're going to add a time condition that is based on this guy, and we're going to call this open. So let's just say the override pin was 4587. Then we're going to say if it matches, we want it to go to extension, and you can add however many extensions you want. And as you add those, you'll have them in the list, and you can quick type in the extension so that it goes to that location. Then another thing you can do, once you have multiple extensions, you can tell the system, okay, well, if a call comes in and say we're closed, say the operator is actually, even though you can dial 0, but they may be extension 1200. So you'll be able to click in here and say, all right, we'll send it to extension 1200 and just give them the instructions. So don't play the message that she has set on the extension. Just give them basic instructions on how to leave a message, or you can tell it no message, or unavailable, or busy. And then it will just drop that message into that extension's voicemail. Then you can come in and pick that voicemail up. So with that, there's a lot of different things that you can do with the system. Like I say, for basic connectivity, you can deploy the system at a location and have full IVR. You can have queues. So let's say you have a sales purchasing department and you want them answering calls. You can actually set up queues for those departments, drive calls directly to them, either based on number or based on the extension that you give or the options you give within inside an IVR. So inside the IVR, we could just say open IVR. And then if we look at it, you can have an announcement. So this would be where you make the system recording, basically saying what you're going to script out, give it the digits pressed, what numbers you want to be dialed, and then we can choose a destination. So let's say we wanted, when you dial, when you come in, thank you for calling our company. If you like purchasing, press 5. So then we could say choose destination, and if we had a queue configured, we'd be able to say queues and then give it that. Since we don't, it pops up with the wizard, so you can do it right here. We'll just say, for our example, let's just say we want, when that call comes in, our purchasing is at extension 200. You would say submit, apply the configuration. And now, when you have calls that come in, what we can do is we can say enter time conditions. So let's go ahead and save this out as well. We'll say open. And we're going to select. So if the destination matches, we actually want to hit our open IVR. If the destination does not match, we just want to go and let's just have them leave a voicemail at extension 200. So now, as you can see, based on the system time, if a call comes in, it would flow in our IVR, which is this open IVR. And if we look at that, basically once we put in an announcement, we'll be able to press 5 and go to extension 200. And then if we were closed, they would basically be calling in and get dropped directly into the voicemail on our extension 200 with just a message saying, please leave your message after the beep. So that was our quick demo of what FreePBX can do with the free features that we touched on today. If you'd like for me to go over some other features, please leave me a comment and let me know. Thanks. Thanks for watching. If you found the video helpful, go ahead and click on the thumbs up. If you'd like to know when we post a new video, go ahead and click on the bell. Also, if you'd like to contract with us for any of the IT services or support that we offer, head over to our website and click on the Contact Us page to let us know. Thanks.